Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get-together live here on Facebook, where we, as you know, take a look at headlines from our city, our state, and our country. We look at your comments, ideas, and suggestions about what's going on here in Puerto Vallarta. We combine all this information to hopefully have a more connected experience as a community of English-speaking locals living here. And today it is Thursday, April 27, and it is a pleasure to get together with you as always, particularly those of you that are joining us live for the first time. If that is your case, feel free to let us know by writing the word new in your comment, and we'll give you a nice little welcome. If there is something pressing in your mind that you wish to share, it helps if you add a capital letter Q to your comment, just as Scott has done here. Scott, it'll be a pleasure to see you this afternoon at the music presentation. So we'll be looking for these Qs later on in the broadcast. But first, we have a bunch of news that you may find interesting. Some of them are more explorations of what we've been talking about through the week. But there's some new stuff. But we'll start with something that has shown up on my radar a couple of times. The grumblings about the beach umbrella rentals have reached state authorities. Now we have feedback from former Puerto Vallarta Mayor Arturo Dávalos, who is now Director of Beach Tourism. He explains how dozens of people that come to our city from elsewhere, particularly during the vacation periods, are the ones that are abusing the situation. These are the folk that are attempting to make a living by renting these beach umbrellas. How do we know that they're doing that without permits? Well, because the local delegate for the Secretary for the Environment and Natural Resources, Raul Rodriguez, he stated that in 11 months since he took over the position, no new permits have been updated or granted to anybody. So what this indicates is there are no new beach vendors out there. So if there are more beach umbrellas being rented, that means there are new people from elsewhere trying to take advantage of the situation. And things get a little ugly because apparently there have been incidents in which if you arrive at the beach with your own umbrella, they will actually attempt to prevent you from using your umbrella because they will argue, or at least some of them will argue, that you're supposed to rent from them. But this, my friends, is not the law. This is irresponsible, and no one can prevent you from bringing your own beach umbrella to the side of the beach that is not granted to restaurants that may already have some granted space within their facilities. So there you have it. Hopefully this issue will be resolved as many others, or at least some of the others that we're going to talk about today. Not this one. This one is good news. We have an announcement that Viva Aerobus will have a daily flight from Puerto Vallarta to the new Felipe Angeles Airport in Mexico City starting on July 14. This is, of course, if you want to get to Mexico City by plane. Now, there are two airports that you can choose so that you can make that trip. And of course, it has not even been approved by the Senate, but Jalisco's private sector, the business people, are already grumbling about the possibility of a reduced work week, calling the decision untimely. Again, we talked yesterday, or was it the day before, about the fact that Mexico's work week could become shortened by 8 hours or 1 day, which means that workers would only work from Monday through Friday. And of course, companies are arguing that as we continue to recover from the pandemic, and having to pay for an extra vacation day for employees is not feasible. But again, this is not even the law just yet. And speaking of the law, Secretary of Government Adán Augusto Lopez Hernandez, who has been taking over President Lopez Obrador's morning press conferences as he recovers from COVID, has announced that he is doing well, and everything seems to indicate that President Lopez Obrador will be back to his regular activities by the weekend. And then I have one to share with you that has nothing to do with Puerto Vallarta. It really doesn't affect us directly. It's not even the kind of news that we feature here regularly, but the plot is thickening and it's caught my attention. And just in case it reaches your radar, well, let's start with Guadalajara Mayor Pablo Lemus, who is here in this photograph trying to explain a very sad and complicated situation that happened in Guadalajara early this week. A woman left her two children, ages 2 and 6, at the DIF Guadalajara. We know that the DIF, or Desarrollo Integral de la Familia office, is the agency that looks after the well-being of families and children throughout Mexico. Well, this woman left her two children at the DIF Guadalajara with a letter stating that she could not take care of them any longer because she has terminal cancer. This enough was shocking and sad and unusual for starters. Authorities then proceeded to try to find the mother, but they couldn't because obviously the children were too young, or are too young, to provide any kinds of explanations. And then the grandmother appeared asking for custody, arguing that her daughter does not have cancer, but suffers from mental disorders of one kind or another. It's not explained in the article. But then things get interesting because the grandmother seems to be too young to be the grandmother. And meanwhile, the children are under the custody of the Guadalajara DIF, which is complicated on its own because they don't actually live in Guadalajara. They live in Tlaquepaque, which is a different municipality. So it would seem appropriate that it would be Tlaquepaque, the municipality, that would have to step in to do something about this situation. So that should hopefully explain why Mayor Lemus from Guadalajara seems to have so many wrinkles in his forehead, because he ultimately is not the person responsible to fix the situation. And I don't mean to take it lightly. It is just sad when things like this happen, and hopefully there will be a good outcome for these two kids. And John, I'm eyeing a comment through the corner of my eye. John says, "Oh, that DIF story sounds like a novela, like a soap opera." And unfortunately, we wish it was just a novela, but it is a real life situation. But yes, things are complicated, definitely. Now, I think we can turn over to the weather. Let me put it up on my screen. Oh no, Jerry Springer? Snarky Weather says Jerry Springer is now resting in peace. I'm still recovering from Dame Edna, but oh, that is sad to read. It is 24 degrees right now. Humidity is at 56%, and our temperature in Fahrenheit degrees says 76. Our forecast for today is going to be clear skies throughout the day with a high of 29 and a low of 18. Tomorrow, Friday, we'll have a partly cloudy day in the morning with clear skies in the afternoon, a high of 29 and a low of 18. And Saturday, we begin the weekend with mostly clear skies, but a few clouds may be wandering around. And a high temperature of 30 and a low temperature of 18. We continue with a few other bits of news. Let's put them up on the screen. Organizers of the annual Festival de Mayo or May Festival here in Puerto Vallarta have announced the program, the schedule of activities. And of course, this is an annual event that coincides with the celebration of our city's foundation, both as a city and a municipality. This year's event will go from May 19 to July 4. That's what I may have typed that improperly. I'm sure it should be June 4, but I will verify the dates. Regardless, there's going to be massive events, concerts. Many of them will be free. The concerts will be at that space behind Soriana in the hotel zone. And this includes a performance by Gloria Trevi, the Mexican pop star sensation, on May 13. So as soon as we have more specific information, there are not only concerts, but there's the sales of food and trinkets and this, that, and the other. I'll keep you posted as soon as we hear more details about all the offerings for this cultural festival. And the Crocodile on the Los Tules canal keeps providing awesome photo ops, as seen here. The reptile is sunbathing. It is rather large, and there's very little authorities can do to get him out of there, as it's not an easy spot to simply walk in and maneuver it out. But it presents no danger. I went looking for it the other day because these photographs were taken right from the sidewalk at the canal. And he was not there when I went looking for him. And I thought to myself, well, maybe I'll wait to see if he makes an appearance. But it was really stinky water. So there's no way I wanted to stick around and wait for him to give me a photo up for you guys. But if you're walking in the vicinity, you may spot him. And of course, it is Pitaya season. Mexico Desconocido reminds us that it is Pitaya season. And pitaya is an exotic fruit from Central America and some parts of Mexico that is delicious alone, but you can also enjoy it in agua fresca or juices or cocktails, ice cream, and so forth. But what on earth is this colorful fruit? I mean, this photograph looks like it was photoshopped, but I've seen pitayas in person, and this is exactly what they look like. It is the fruit of several cactus species, just like the tuna or prickly pear, they call it in English. And depending on the variety, pitaya fruits may have either sweet or sour tasting flesh that can be red, white, or yellow in color. I believe, but I'm not sure, that pitayas are called dragon fruit in English. Not entirely certain of that, but maybe you can share your comments about this. And of course, with excellent timing, the New York Times shares 5 new recordings of classical music to enjoy right now, including one by one of the performers that we're featuring in this afternoon's presentation. I won't tell you which one, but I will certainly leave the link to this article, as we always do, in your show notes. And now, let's turn over to the comments. We have lots of hellos. Thank you very much. Oh my goodness, Gwen is here. Gwen Friz is in town. It's great to see you, Gwen. It was so much fun to spend time with your brother this time around. I loved it. Let's see. Alan is counting days, 180. Awesome. Den and Kathy have safely reached San Diego. Only day we will be live until we get back to the flooding sandbar in the middle of the Mississippi. I'm glad you have gotten to your daughter safely, dear friend, and I hope you continue to spend wonderful quality time with her while you can. Oh, wonderful. Michal is also going to be at the presentation this afternoon. We're all going to go get tacos afterwards. So it should be a lot of fun. Purum pim pum pum pim. There's a queue leaving for London tomorrow for the coronation. My sister will be putting me up for 2 weeks. Enjoy and take lots of photographs. I hope they gave you a good seat. Just kidding. Then I start seeing some of your comments about the deef thing. Isn't the wife of the municipal president mayor the president of that municipality's diff? That could explain his concerns. Well, that is one good theory. Usually, the wife of a mayor is appointed to be the director of DIF traditionally, but that it may or may not be the case in Guadalajara. I am not sure if Mayor Lemus's wife, I don't even know if he has one, is responsible for DIF. All I know is that the children are in DIF, Guadalajara, and as long as the children are in the custody of an agency that is in his own municipality, he will respond. He will express his concerns. Restaurant Week is arriving soon, but you would not know about it because, again, they lack promotion starting May 15th. I can't comment on that, Michael. Well, I can, but, what can I tell you? When I organized Restaurant Week as part of Vallarta Lifestyles Publishing Group, there was a lot of publicity. But then, of course, the project changed hands. The company changed ownership. What can I say? But what I can say is that indeed the promotion starts on May 15th. I don't know exactly how long it goes, but it is an opportunity for restaurants to offer a fixed price menu with reduced prices. So hopefully there will be more information available. In the meantime, Michael, if you have your menu ready and you want to send it to me, I will be happy to make noise on your behalf. And there is oh, how wonderful, Kathleen. We met Chris and Carlos at the Secret Wine Bar. Such nice fellows. Yes, they are. Absolutely. They are wonderful hosts and business owners. It is unfortunate that this summer they will go back to Switzerland, and hopefully they have said that they will come back to the same spot in the fall. But the chips of those puzzles sometimes don't land where and how we want them to. But I certainly hope that Chris and Carlos will be back with a Secret Wine Bar next year. There is no indication that they will not. I am not spreading false information or rumors or anything. But yes, they are super nice fellows. And this, my friends, brings us to the end of today's broadcast. I'm excited for today's presentation. It should be and I forgot to mention, maybe you can share some suggestions before we leave. The date, let me check this on my calendar. The date for the next music presentation is going to be May 18, and I have no idea what it is going to be about. So if you have any particular requests, any particular music-related topic that you'd like to know more about, feel free to write it in your comments as I'm looking at some of the final comments of today. Restaurant Week prices have gone up significantly from the earlier days. Well, again, no comment. From its inception, Restaurant Week was an event that was designed to give restaurant goers a break and not so much give restaurants an opportunity. It was directed not necessarily at the top of the line restaurants. It was just directed at restaurants in general. And from the very beginning, it was challenging to meet the requests and demands and needs of the upper end restaurants who wanted to participate. They didn't want to be out of the action, but they needed to change their prices to a higher one, or they requested a higher price. Through the organization of the project, we always indicated that it was an opportunity for the chefs to have a creative challenge, for an upper edge restaurant to say, okay, so how can we properly represent our restaurant and with a reduced menu that is not as fancy as what we usually present, but still give the atmosphere of the restaurant. So it was a creative challenge. Some restaurants responded brilliantly, others did not, and that is just the way it went. But again, it's out of my hands. I hope they're successful, and by that I mean the restaurants, not necessarily the organization. And that was my outside voice. Any seats available for tonight's music presentation? I am sure there are plenty of spaces, Doug. If you want to join us, it would be a pleasure to see you there. And I think we're done. Yes. Boom. Buy me a coffee. That's not what I wanted to say. Well, yes, it is what I wanted to say. If you enjoy the broadcast, if you learn new stuff on a regular basis, there's a great way for you to show your appreciation and support. It is by buying me a coffee or 2 or 10, or if you are really invested in what we're doing here, there are monthly and annual subscriptions that you can pursue. As you know, this broadcast is possible thanks to your support, primarily, fundamentally. Right, Luna? Okay, so that's it. We're done. I got to go put the final details on that presentation, but I hope you had a good time this morning. I hope to see you again sometime soon, maybe even tomorrow. Have a great day.